Hello everyone, it is Teresa from Teresa's Silhouette Spot for all things art, where I love sharing art from my heart and teaching creatives and crafters how to paint for fun and profit. Hello everyone. So as I am pushing the live button, I just realized I have these fancy dangling earrings on with my paint clothes. So I didn't change my earrings when I got home from work. So anyway though, welcome to the Lovebirds video art tutorial. So I have my tracer. I have some graphite paper, and the tracer is nothing but the two little birds. It's not the branches and stuff, because you can put your branches wherever you want. I have an 11 by 14 board. You can use the surface of your choice, a stretched canvas. You can put it in a pad. You can put it on wood, whatever. I have two brushes. Well, actually, I have three brushes. I have a flat brush, a round brush, and then I have a liner brush. But my liner brush is already in the water because I was painting something else. Okay. And then I have my paint ready to go. White, brown, yellow, light brown, like a medium green, a burgundy, and a black. Okay. So I am going to turn my camera around and we will get started. So thank you for joining me. I have my tracer here, and I'm going to just line it up as best I can. I usually eyeball it. You want your birds about right in the middle. And there we go. So I'm going to use that there. I'm going to get a little piece of tape that I just have hanging around. And I'm going to tape this on. So then it makes like a hinge. Okay? There we go. Then I'm going to take and slip my graphite paper, which has been used a gazillion times, and slip it up under here like this. Make sure everything's flat, nice and flat. You want the shiny side down, otherwise you'll be just tracing the design onto the back of your tracer. So let me grab, you know what? You can grab a pencil, a pen. I have a stylus somewhere. I'm just going to use the back of my brush. And we're just going to go in here and I'm going to trace around the birds. You can do this inner line if you want, or you can leave it. This is a wing. They're kind of folded up, just perched on this branch. I am not going to put the eye in. We can look back at our tracer for reference when we're done, and then you can put the eye in where it works. And again, you don't have to do this particular line here unless you want to. I will add the beaks. So when I add the beaks, when I trace little elements like this, I tend to go a little smaller. So I am tracing within the lines for my beaks. My beak's going to look very tiny on here. This way, if my beak is not a really good triangle and I want to fix it a little bit, I can, because we tend to, when we fix, our elements grow. So when I'm going to trace a little element like that, eyes, mouths, beaks on a bird, whatever it is, I tend to kind of shorten it up a little bit when I trace it on. This way, if I need to go bigger or it gets a little bigger, it's okay, then it's the right size. So there we have our birds. Okay, so I'm going to put my graphite paper and my tracer to the side. Okay? So the first thing we're going to do is get our flat brush, and we're going to dip it really well into the white. Don't be shy. Don't be afraid of the paint. You want the paint loaded up into your brush. You don't want to get it all the way up here into the metal part, the ferrule, but you want a decent amount of paint on your brush. Apply a little bit of pressure so the paint really works its way in there. Okay? Then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to pick up a little bit, just a scoop of that fawn light brown onto the same brush. And I am going to get started painting in my background. So we are going to paint the majority of our background white. So when I go back in, I'm only going to pick up the white, and every so often I will go in and I will pick up that fawn tan color. If your background is getting a little too white, add more tan. If your background is getting a little too tan, add more white. Okay. We don't want to overblend the colors. We want to be able to see the differences in the white and the tan. We want some areas to be a little darker, some areas to be a little lighter. And again, I dipped in the white, and I just went in and picked up a little bit more of that fawn color. If you get some paint on your birds, that's totally okay. You don't have to worry about that because this is acrylic paint, and when it dries, we can fix it, and you'll be able to smooth out, even out, fix anything that you need to fix once we paint our birds in. This is why we do the background first, and then we add our birds in later, so we can have nice edges on our birds. And you can make your background as dark or as light as you want to. But every time I pick up, I'm going to always pick up white, and every so often I'm going to pick up this tan. Now if you see, I just did a little bit of a swoop with the edge of my brush. I just came down and I outlined a little bit of the bird. So I can come in here and add the paint where I need to. Sometimes there's a little bit of a glare from my lights, and I have a shadow too. Let me see if I can get rid of that. Yeah, that's a little better. Oh, a little better. Okay. Sometimes I have a little bit of a glare because of the white from my lights onto my white canvas, but that goes away as soon as we've started painting, and you'll notice that it becomes much easier to see. I can see my lines. You may not be able to see my lines, but you don't have to see my lines. You have to see your lines. Okay. So again, I'm bringing the brush in here. I'm using it on the chisel edge, just so I can get in between here. My brush is a little too wide to use it on the flat to get in between the birds, so I just used it on the chisel edge. We want all our brush strokes to be going the same direction vertically. Pick up some white, pick up some tan. And you can, the beauty of having this video is you can pause it, stop it, rewind it, whenever you want. If you wanted to take a break, you don't have time to finish, you want to paint it again, you have access to this video. It is on my YouTube channel, but don't think it's there for all the world to see. It is not. We can post videos on YouTube as unlisted, and only the people we give the link to have it. So please be respectful and not share this link with others. If you wanted to host a party at your home and use my link, that would be okay. But again, just be respectful of, the sharing and the sending the link. Okay? Thank you. I appreciate that. So anyway, I'm almost done with my background. If you are needing to finish your background, feel free to now then put it on pause while you finish your background, when I'll be moving on to the next step. A lot of times people say, oh, you paint so fast. And yes, I do. I accept that. Sometimes I don't feel like it's a compliment, but I do accept it. But I paint fast for a couple of reasons. Because I can, and I've been painting for many, many years. But more importantly, like before when I was talking to you guys, don't worry if you get some of this white and brown into your birds. Don't worry when you're painting if you have a little bit of a something that you don't love, or something that you want to change, or something you have to enhance a little bit. Way too many times, too often, when we're painting, we get caught up in a little tiny detail that really has no bearing on our project when it's all said and done, on something that you won't even see. So I try to encourage my painters to keep going. Paint fast. Paint in the zone like I do. Don't sweat the small stuff, because when it all is said and done, you're going to look at it, you're going to be like, wow, look at that. Look at all the details. It really comes together. Okay? So now I'm going to wash my brush. I have a cup of water here. Wash my brush, and I like to, after I wash my brush, I like to give it a squeeze in the paper towels. I just feel like it, this way you ensure there's no water stuck up in here, because if you have water stuck up in the metal and the ferrule, and you turn your brush upside down to paint with it, water can run out. When I give it a squeeze, I know that's not going to happen. Okay, so now, you can switch to a round brush, or you can stay with your flat brush. It's totally up to you. I think I'm going to stay with my flat brush for now. And we're going to move on. We're going to pick up a little bit of the burgundy. And when I pick up the paint again, I'm just going into the side of the puddle. I'm putting a little bit of pressure on my brush so the paint gets worked into the bristles. And now I have a decent amount of paint on my brush. And I'm going to start with, I'm going to hold my brush upright, and I'm going to trace that section of the bird, because that's where we want this dark part to go. Okay, and then I just use the corner. Now I have outlined it. Okay. Now it's not completely necessary to stay in the lines when we do the bird. When I do the other bird, I'll show you how I do it with the round brush. I'm going to be doing little feathery strokes. I'm picking up some paint and I'm tapping and pulling. Now see how I've gone out of the line a little bit right there? We want that. Our birds have feathers. I'm pulling out with a little bit of the corner of my brush. We don't want the bird to have a totally smooth line there. Okay? So I pulled a little bit out, a little bit out. Down there I missed a little part. So there we go. Pick up some more, and I'm just using little tiny strokes, picking up some more paint. I'm using the chisel edge, and I'm layering in here almost like they look like feathers to fill in this whole part of the bird. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to use the back of the chisel edge of my brush. I'm going to swoop around. I'm going to do this inside one too. The little part there. And again, I need to turn my canvas. Oh, I said I was going to use my round brush. I'll use my round brush for this one. I'm going to come in here. When you use your round brush, you want to have it on a point. So when I use my round brush, I will use it in a twisting motion. That's how you load your brush when you're using a round brush or a liner brush. Use it in a twisting motion so your point stays. And we're going to do the same thing. Little tiny strokes. Little tiny layering strokes. We want them to go outside the line a little bit. Our bird does not have a smooth drawn line for his feathers. Pick up some more paint. Little tiny strokes. One second, y'all. There we go. Okay. Pick up some more paint, give it a twirl, and then little tiny strokes. And we want to pull it out as we go. Run out of paint, pick up a little bit more paint. Some spots can be thicker, some spots can be thinner. It's fine. They're leaves. They're feathers on a bird. See that? Okay. So we have those two parts done. Okay. Now with a dirty brush, and I have this burgundy on, I'm going to pick up a little bit more burgundy. But now I'm going to go into my white, and I'm going to pick up a little bit of white. And we're going to do the same thing in here. I'm going to outline, and then I'm going to come in, and I'm going to pull in these little lines. And you want to follow the shape. So I'm doing little tiny strokes. Pick up some burgundy, pick up some white, little tiny strokes, and they're following the curve of the bird's body. So these swoop in like this, these come around like this, and these come down like this. And again, it's okay if you go outside the line a little bit. Pick up some burgundy, pick up some white. If your pink in here is a little bit darker than in the reference picture, that's okay. We are human. It is virtually impossible to mix the exact same color of paint every time when you're just using a brush and we're not using a formula and making it like a recipe. So don't fret, okay? Again, I'm going to pick up some burgundy, I'm going to pick up some white, and we're going to do the same thing on the other bird. When I paint, I like to do a little bit of an outline. This way it kind of shows, I need a little bit more white on this one. It kind of shows my eye where to go. I feel like when I have an outline there, like it's a boundary, it's an edge. I know where my eye needs to go, I know where my paintbrush needs to go, and this way it helps me stay in the area. Do I stay in the lines? No, you don't have to stay in the lines. I'm not talking about being perfect. I'm just talking about having a guide. And again, short, wispy strokes. To give a feathery appearance. And they follow the shape of the bird's body. If you want it a little bit darker, you can pick up a little bit more dark. I just did that on my brush, and there you go. Wet on wet, wet paint on wet paint is for blending. You want the paint on your surface, the paint on your brush. You want it all to be wet when you're going to blend. If you want to enhance something, fix something, I hate to say fix or whatever, but because it's art, it can't be wrong. But if you want to, like say, you know, the only thing that can be wrong is if I drop my brush in the middle of my painting. If you want to fix something, wait for your paint to dry. Once your paint is completely dry, you can just about fix anything. Okay, and I am washing my brush. Again, I'm going to give it a squeeze on my paper towel. Okay, and now I'm going to go into this light yellow. I'm using the round brush. I'm going to give it a little bit of a twirl. I need some fresh white, you guys. Giving my yellow a little bit of a twirl. I'm going to come over here on the end. I don't want to dirty up my whole pile. That's why I'm going to come to the edge of my white and pick up some white too. So now I have yellow and white again. Just like the burgundy and white, now I have yellow and white on my brush. I'm going to do the outline, and then I'm going to add in these feathers. And again, we want our feathers to go in the shape, white, yellow, in the shape of the bird's wing. Little tiny strokes. I don't think my strokes are even longer than a ½ inch. If you can see your pencil line, don't worry about it. We're going to get back to that at the end. Right now we're just worrying about filling in a bird. Okay, I'm going to pick up a little bit of yellow, and I'm going to add in little triangles for the beaks. If your triangle is not perfect, it's okay. Don't fret. Okay? So now we have our beaks in there, and we've pretty much completed one bird. I'm going to rinse my brush again and give it a squeeze. And now we're going to go to our medium green. Same thing. I'm going to fill it with a little bit of green on my brush. I'm going to come over on a spot that I haven't dipped in yet on my white. Pick up some white. Now we have green and white on our brush. And we're going to do the same thing to this side, to this bird. If your pink, burgundy body is still too wet, just give it a minute, or grab a blow dryer or a heat gun. Put me on pause and wait for it to dry. Again, it's a little bit tight here, but I am still using my brush and pulling out a little bit. I don't want the line to be perfect, a little bit, so you can see some variation in there, and you can see like the feathers come off him, just a tiny bit. Okay, wash my brush again. They're looking so cute, aren't they, you guys? So cute. Okay. All right. I'm going to look at my picture. But of course, again, it is not going to be exactly the same. And that's okay. And if you want your branches a little different, that's totally up to you. I'm going to basically put them the same as they are in the reference photo. Give me a little drink. If they're not exact, that's okay. We're not going to fret about that. If you wanted like 2 big branches instead, totally up to you. It's your art, your way. Okay? So, round brush again. And this time I'm going into the brown, completely into the brown. I'm giving it a twirl, okay? If you want to go off on the side a little bit and practice a line with your liner brush, or put me on pause and get some scrap paper and practice with your liner brush, applying pressure and different variations of pressure, go right ahead. That's fine. The more pressure you put, the thicker your branches will be. The less pressure you put, obviously the skinnier your branches will be. So I'm going to come over here on the edge. I'm going to apply a lot of pressure to my brush, and I'm going to make a line that's just cutting through here. For one of the branches. Okay? I know it doesn't look like much right now. Absolutely. Okay? I'm going to fill up some more brown here. Then I'm going to take this one. This one is going to go all the way across the page. And again, the more pressure you put, the wider it will be. And I'm just going in and filling it in. These little round brushes don't hold a lot of paint, so sometimes you have to go back in and fill it in. And again, try not to let your branch grow that much. Before you know it, we'll end up with a tree trunk. And this does not have to be a smooth, exactly straight line. It's a tree. It could be a little gnarly. It could be a little bumpy. It does not have to be perfect. Okay? And we're going to have a branch coming off of here. And you want, when the branches come off the main branch, you don't want them to stick off in a 95, in a straight line. You want them to always be a Y. If it helps you to turn your page, you can turn your page. You want your branches to go off in a Y position, not in a hard angle. Okay, this one might be hard for you guys. If you wanted to get chalk or a pencil and put the branch your birds are sitting on first. That's totally up to you. That's not a bad idea. I'm just going to go for it. But you could put me on pause, grab a piece of chalk, grab a pencil, and put this in first. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in the middle. This way I know exactly where my birds are sitting because I decided to jump right in on it. I know exactly where they are. And then I will attach. And again, we want to just fill in this branch a little bit. This branch does not have to be as thick, I'm just looking at my sample, as the branch up top. They're not straight because they're branches. They can be bumpy, a little jagged, okay? And then we have one coming off here. Again, it makes a V. And I'm just going back in and filling it in. Okay, so we have our background with the beige and the white. Then we started filling in our birds with the dark burgundy. Then we picked up some burgundy. Oh, got a little brown on my bird. Picked up the burgundy and white and filled in a little pink on their bodies. And then we did one wing yellow, one wing green, and we did our beaks yellow as well. Then we went in and added in our branches. Now while my, I'm using the brown still, I'm going to pick up some more. And now we're going to add little tiny branches. And remember again, we want them to be in V's. And these are smaller branches, so we don't want to use a lot of pressure. So I have my pinky here. I'm using my pinky as an anchor. And I'm just pulling in little tiny branches. Again, I'm using my pinky. Your surface would have to be dry in order for this to work, to use your pinky. But I am using my pinky right here. And I'm coming off on a V. And I don't want to make it a straight line. And I'm just doing curvy lines, adding some branches to the thicker branches that we have. I'm going to put one down here. You can actually even see me doing a little bit of a wiggle. And then maybe I'll bring one out like that and another out like that. We can even put one up in here if we wanted to. So I'm going to extend this one off the page. So I've added a few more than were on our original, but that's okay. And you know why? Because I love drawing trees and tree branches. Sorry, I get a little carried away, I know. Okay. So I hope everyone is doing okay. I'm going to keep my dirty brush from the brown, and I'm just going to pick up a little bit of black. I'm going to work it into my brown a little bit. I'm going to go back to my brown. I want a nice amount of brown on my brush. Pick up a little bit of the black and work it in a little bit. Now you can do this with a liner brush, or you can use it with this round brush we've already been doing. And we just want to add a little bit of black to some of these branches. I'm just adding a little bit of shadow, a very, very light touch. I'm only putting it on the thicker ones. Over here is where I mixed it a little bit. I'm just going to come back here and pick up a little bit more. Very, very light touch. And I'm picking up a little bit more. It's almost dry on there. And I'm just going in and just adding a little bit of shadow to our fat branches with the black. Okay? And then I'm going to wash my brush again. And give it a squeeze. Okay. When we do our leaves, I'm going to pick up the green. And our leaves are almost, well, they're a leaf shape. They're leaves. So you want to make an arch to a point, and then you want to make another arch to a point, and then we're going to fill it in. It's like a leaf. It's like a leaf that you drew in elementary school. One line, two line, and then we're just going to fill it in. Okay? And we're just going to go around and we're going to add some leaves to the ends of our branches and fill it in. And again here, so I'm making a scoop to a point. I'm making another scoop. Our points meet, and I'm filling it in. Sometimes the branches stick off. The little leaf is attached to the branch with a little bit of a stem, and I'm filling it in. I'm going to put another one over here. You just want the base of the leaf to be a little fatter and then get tapered. They do not have to be perfect. They do not have to be the same shape or size. That's all. And I'm just going to go in and I'm going to randomly add some leaves. To our picture here. And again, I'm using the same short strokes that we used for the birds. We don't want our leaves just totally solid. This way we do light strokes, we layer it on there. Some sections of our leaves look darker and some sections of our leaves look lighter. Pick up a little bit more green, and I'm just pulling in oh, got some brown on there. So now if your branches are a little different, use your judgment where you should put a leaf. They all don't have to be exactly like mine. This one doesn't even fit, but I have a little tiny one down here going off the page. I'm going to do the same thing with something here like that. Okay. So you just use your judgment. You might have a few more leaves. You may have a few less leaves. It's totally okay. Depending on how you laid out your branches and if you added a few more like little branches like I did. I like it when elements go off the page too. Like we have this part of the leaf here, we have this part of the leaf here. And that might be enough. Well, maybe I'll put one up here. You might want more leaves or less. It is up to you. Okay. Remove my water. Okay, and I'm going to wash my brush. So now I am going to go to my liner brush that is in here somewhere. Yep. I'm going to give it a squeeze. Okay, if you want to switch to your liner brush too, now would be a good idea. And we're going to go back to our burgundy for a minute. And we're just going to add some berries. And I do that by using the back of my brush. I do that by using the brush handle. So I dip the brush handle into the paint. And then we're just going to add some clusters of berries. And again, I'm going to tap off the first one because the first one's kind of big. And then I'm going to go do 3 smaller ones. The first one has the most paint. And so that one is really big. So I'm just going to tap that one off. And then I'm going to add my berries. So I'm going to dip in my paint. I'm going to tap one off. And then I'm going to come in here and add my clusters. Dip, tap off, and then do my berry clusters. And again, these can be random. There's no rhyme or reason to where these go. They're just a little extra detail to our painting. It helps the burgundy and our birds really pop. If you wanted to take and put random ones every so often, that's okay too. And that's it. That's all I'm going to put. A few clusters and a couple of random berries, and that's what we have. I'm going to clean off the back of my brush. I'm going to go back to my yellow, and I want to add a little highlight to the tops of some of my leaves. And we're doing it to the top because presumably that's where our light would be. I'm using my liner brush, and it doesn't have to be all of the leaves. You can do all the leaves if you want. I'm just doing some of them, and I'm randomly going in to what I would perceive to be the tops of the leaves, and I'm adding a little yellow highlight to them. Maybe I'll just do one in here as well. Okay. And again, I'm going to rinse my brush. Now, keeping with the liner brush, I'm going to go into the black. I'm going to twirl it the same way we twirl with our round brush. I'm going to twirl with our liner brush. You want a nice point. I am going to make sure this is dry, rest my hand. I'm going to come under the beak, and then I'm going to come around the crest and the back of the head. Now, if you can't do it in one swoop, do it in little tiny strokes like I am. We're just adding a little bit of shading to the dark side of the bird, and if you can't pull it in one string, one line, use a few lines. A little bit, pulling lines like that. Okay? And then we're going to do the same thing around the wing. Be sure to hop over the branch. If you can do it in one line, that's fine. If you can't, do it with these little baby lines that, oh, put my hand in there. I'm going to show you how we're going to fix that where I put my hand in there. Turn it upside down, get some paint. Again, I'm going to go under this side of the beak and then up and around this bird on the outside of the dark feathers, the dark part, the burgundy part of the body. I'm just pulling in little tiny strokes, and again, hopping over the branch, we're doing the wing. A little more paint. Okay. And then we want to add little feeties, okay? So I'm going to put 2 little curved lines and then a little bit of a space and 2 more little curved lines. And then for our other bird, we want the curves to go the other way, so we're going to do 2 little curved lines this way, leave more of a space, and then we're going to add 2 little curved lines that way. Okay. And just like we did with our berries, I'm going to use the back of my brush. I'm going to tap it off because it's too big. And I'm going to add 1 eye and 2 eyes, just with the back of my brush. And then the same way we added the highlight to some of the leaves, I'm picking up a little bit of black paint and I'm going in and I'm adding a little bit of shade with this dark paint to the bottom of some of the leaves. Doesn't have to be all of them, just a few of them. You can do all of them if you want. Doesn't have to be perfect again, just a little bit of outline underneath the leaves. Okay. Now, I got a little bit of paint up in here. Let me get a clean paper towel. So, I washed my brush. It's got a little bit of water on it, but my painting is dry. I'm going to put a little bit of water where I got paint where I didn't want it. I'm almost like painting with water on here. Can you see the puddles? And I'm going to get my paper towel. I'm going to fold it and fold it and fold it and make it nice and stiff where it has a corner. And I'm just going to come in here and wipe off the paint that I got on here that I didn't want when I put my hand in my berries. And that is it. You can do the same thing over here if you want. I got some brown over here. Let me get some water. You want to use a clean paper towel. You want to have a nice stiff corner. And then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to rub. Now, if it doesn't totally come off, you can go paint over it. But this is just another way if you mess something up, if you want to fix it a little bit. So, I have most of it off. I'm happy with that. Okay. And there we have it. You can put your initials, the date, whatever you want on the bottom somewhere. I'm going to put the date. 2, 3. There we go. And that is it. Turn you guys around. Thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed painting the lovebirds. I think they came really cute. And again, if yours doesn't look exactly like mine, it's okay. Yours is supposed to look like yours. And that is fine. I'm going to end up putting my finger in something else too. So there you go. Thanks for joining me. I hope to see you again. Have a great time, everyone. Enjoy your painting. And hashtag Teresa Spot for Art. PIY Teresa Spot for Art. If you want to post it on your social media or on my page. Okay? Thank you, everyone.